The Yu-Gi-Oh meta is in a weird place right now. Snake Eyes is without question the problem that needs to be addressed, but with Fiendsmith releasing soon, it seems unlikely that Konami does anything too drastic to correct this mistake. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what you can realistically expect from the July Limited and Forbidden list. Realistically, only 3 cards should be banned: Apo, Albion, and Banlist. So starting with Apo, we know this has been the problem child of the modern game for a while. It's a card that's too generic, very easy to make, and quite frankly does too much when paired with a piece of removal. Yes, it just got reprinted, but this hasn't stopped Konami before. IP and access code will still be the chase cards of Rarity Collection 2, so it's not like those are gonna affect their sales too much in any way. Next, they put Albion on here for obvious reasons. It facilitates this turn skip via the gimmick puppet, and even if you ban the puppet, it doesn't do too much. Albion can just make use of another card and, well, the problem will just persist. Zelantless, I consider this a casualty of war. Initially I wanted to put Fire Princess or Flamberge on the list instead, but we know this is not going to happen when Fire Princess was just confirmed to be reprinted in the Rarity Bonanza, so instead the next thing that makes sense would be to limit Snake Eyes OTK. I've put a lot on the limited list, but realistically I only see about 4 of these making the cut. So Flamberge and Poplar are the obvious ones, and they're here to weaken the Snake Eyes strategy and to encourage people to switch over to the Fiendsmith version of the deck. I didn't put any of the Sinful Spoil cards on the list, well, because we just got confirmation that they'll be getting new support, so to limit this stuff now just kind of hinders sales, so there'd be no point. Skill Drain is, I consider it to be another Snake Eyes card. Always seen this card being abused by them more than anything else, so putting it to 1 restricts that auto-win strategy. Fenrir is a bit of a weird one. It has an OTS ulti, so it is unlikely to go untouched, but it also makes sense to smack this card while they can. It's too generic, and it's a board breaker that is good going first or second. Kashtira has been around for quite a while, and while this would also mean people can't play Kashtira as an engine in everything. I think it's well positioned for a hit, but again it's unlikely because of the OTS ulti. Heavy Storm can come off no problem, it's not going to do anything, so I think let's increase the amount of back row hit we can play, considering that a lot of our Spell and Trap negates have been hit. I'm looking at Borrelord Savage and Barone. Meow Mew, another weird one. I don't think it'll do too much in the current format. Like, Prankids won't be able to compete with the current meta, and the Prankids engine uses way too many card slots to be used in any deck. Plus it consumes your normal summon. So I think Oni decks would be able to make use of these things like Owllich, and I think that's completely fair considering Owllich has lost all of his floodgates. 3 names on the semi-limited list: Prosperity, Ostinato, and Branded Fusion. Prosperity has been around for quite a long time. It's been reprinted enough, and it's one of those cards that just make decks a little too consistent. Putting it to 2 won't change too much, but it does limit the consistency enough that you can consider not playing Prosperity. It also encourages a bit more creative deck building, so I think it's been around for a while. Let's consider it to be a problem of sorts and see what happens with it at 2. Ostinato is something that shouldn't be hit, but I could see why it would. It's extremely good and it's the lifeline of the Melodious deck, but the pure version of the deck has kind of fallen off in a sense. I'm not hating on Melo, I own the deck in paper, but if players like Joshua Smith and Jesse Cotton can't win with it, then you know that it needs a little bit more and isn't exactly too oppressive. The semi-limited is more to restrict the consistency of it being used as an engine in things like Voiceless and Chimera, which kind of makes sense. Branded Fusion is kind of on here for the same reason, as well as being a preemptive hit. Losing Albion would be a huge hit for the Branded strategy, but it also serves to limit the deck's capacity as an anti-meta strategy against Fiendsmith. We're entering a light-based format, and Bastials are going to cook. More than just that though, Konami would want to limit decks like Chimera, who can use Branded Fusion as a secondary engine, in favor of things like Fiendsmith. Thinking again from a sales perspective, they'll want as many people who can to play Fiendsmith as possible, so they'll restrict your options. So, putting this to 2 kind of is a surefire way of increasing the likelihood that people have to make this pivot. Going to 3, I've just got Pankratops to sort of balance the limits to Fenrir. In the side deck though, I have put a lot of notable mentions which I would like to see hit in some capacity, or come off the list. Ideally I would want Calamities and Beatrice to be banned. I do think though it's a bit too soon. We know that Calamities is going to be used in White Forest and Beatrice in Fiendsmith, so they're not going to do anything to limit these things right now. Next list for sure. I would like Red Dog to go to 2. I think Pure Unchained kind of needs a little bit of help, but again they just got tons of Fiend support, so unlikely. Big Welcome would sort of nerf Lab, which a lot of us are tired of seeing, but it's not like the deck is doing too much again. It's falling off due to power creep, so they can go untouched and it'll be fine. Circular to 1 is something that we all want to see. It'll make a lot of sense for you to come back to 1, especially since we're moving into a Bastille strategy, Bastille format, meaning that, there's a lot of hate for our boy Sigma. But again, I kind of understand why it's on the list, and one of the biggest reasons is that a lot of the community is against 1 card starters, and Circular is without question the best of them.